Hey y'all, it's your girl D Green 2.0 and welcome back to my channel. Before we get into everything, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Hit that notification bell just in case you want to be notified whenever I upload a video, and I'm going to speak it into the universe as always. Hype me up if you can, okay? All right, so elephant in the room, I am behind. I have not done a recap since episode 8. That was about almost 4 weeks ago. So for Memorial Day, that was the last time I did it, and then I started my new job the next day, and it's just been back-to-back stuff since then. I had to finalize everything with my tenant getting into my other unit, so all units are fully occupied right now, no pending projects or anything. We're all good to go. And then my sister surprised me that same weekend following Memorial Day, brought my nieces. My daughter and I went to go see Beauty and the Beast, and then they came, so that weekend was a bust. I was like, I'm not gonna do episode 9. And then again, learning the new job, bandwidth, capacity's limited. So episode 10, that was also a bust to recap. And then this weekend was my birthday. So I went out Friday. I went to City Winery to go see Twista. Loved it. He had a band instead of a DJ. I think that sound is a lot better. Enjoyed myself. And then again, my sister surprised me, drove all the way up from Florida on my actual birthday. I thought I was going to be nursing a hangover, and she's like, nope. So I said, all right, well, we going out then. So she took me to dinner. Her and my other friend, they took me to dinner. We did a little bar hopping, and then we ended up at Wicked Wolf here in Midtown. And then yesterday we went to brunch at ABC, I believe it's called ABC Diner, right across from the Georgia Aquarium. And yeah, I was just like, all right, that's just how it is. So I was like, okay, I have to at least get episodes 9 and 10 out today. And then I'm going to try to do episode 11 so that way I can be caught up. But I am so sorry because I don't want to fall into the rut like I did with Potomac. I just dropped Potomac and Beverly Hills midway through the season. Atlanta is still good, and they haven't done anything to turn me off, so I'm not gonna drop them. So I was like, nah, for continuity, let me come down here and finish this season off. I don't want them to think I left, because then it's a pattern we start, and we don't want to do that. I actually like this season. All right, so let's get into it, right? I don't want to waste any more time. So let me just say this. I don't have the traditional layout of my notes because I'm behind. I kind of wanted to do something a little different. I'm going to try this and see how it works because I do want to tweak my style of recap because I want to get my time down. Like, I'm trying to get to a point where I could do recaps in 30 to 45 minutes max. Unlike the 50 minutes to an hour that I typically do, but I'm trying. So I was like, all right, well, let me try some different note-taking strategy, and maybe that'll help me get through the material a lot faster. So bear with me, okay? I'll try to stay in order of the episode, but I'll let you know right now, it's not framed that way. I'm actually going to talk about each character in the episode, and then, how they interacted in the episode or how they were relative to the episode or whatever. So that's what we're going to be looking forward to tonight. So keep up, okay? All right. So tonight, like I said, I'm going to do 9 and 10. And we're going to start out with the scene where they left off last week at Phaedra's house. So before I speak on that, I will point this out, what I'm noticing. This group is very divided. And you started to see it in Dallas when they went on their trip, but in this particular scene, you really saw it because when everything erupted between Portia and Kelly, the women split up. So you had Pinky, K. Michelle, Kelly, and Shamia consoling Kelly. They were with her. And then you had, Cynthia had already left, so she's obviously the neutral one. You had Phaedra, Portia, Drew, and Angela left outside of the table. Of course, Phaedra went to the back because it's her house to, make sure everyone was okay and check on them. But in the scene, you saw the divide. And I think even, Pinky's group, they all left. And then the others were left at the table to talk about what happened. So I just wanted to set the stage for that opening scene. Let's start with Miss Angela. So, like I said, I'm just going to point out characters and the big rocks that I noticed. That's what we're going to talk about. That's how we're going to do it. So Miss Angela, she said this at the table, which I liked, that she doesn't want like that Kay feels like she's excluded, so she's gonna be a little bit more nurturing towards Kay. Paraphrasing, weren't her exact words, but that was the sentiment I got. She also in this episode speaks about how she wants to work out her issues with Shamea after saying many shady comments about her and making up many shady names in relation to her name in the confessional. Okay, so you want to settle your beef, but you want to call her names. I see you, Angela. So she sets up a meeting with Shamea, which when I get to Shamea, we'll talk about that meeting because it was at the end of the episode. But yeah, that's what we got going with Miss Angela this episode. Drew, her biggest thing was her and her crew this episode. I did not like that scene. She hired a new manager, Keon, I guess to help her with her business dealings and help her manage this group. She hired Keon because I guess Keon has managed other artists. She didn't speak on what artists she managed, but she said because of her history, she felt like, she was qualified to manage her. That scene though with all of her staff, I don't know. Drew didn't seem like she was amused by that, but her showing that on camera, I was like, I know it looks bad on them, but you're paying them and they represent you. So I wouldn't have felt good about having them on scene with me, especially with everything that's going on with me, out in the media. That's embarrassing because it kind of shows that you don't choose well in your business dealings. People feel like, I guess they could play with your money. See, I don't run my shit like that. I have one employee and I run a tight shit. You are not going to be embarrassing me. You're not going to be acting a fool. You're not going to be dropping balls. I don't play that shit. So the fact that it was like maybe 8 or 9 people in that scene. The producer said they counted 20, but I think I saw like 8 or 9 in the scene. And the way they were talking to each other, just the lack of professionalism, not a good look. So I was like, okay, Drew, you may want to tighten it up with them because that was not cool. What was it? 2 people, Danny and Freedom, I think they were. Yeah, that's what I said. They're playing with her time and they're playing with her money. She says that she stays with them out of loyalty. Girl, when we grown and we got business dealings on the line and our money is going into this, the only loyalty you should have is to your name and to your money and to your brand, not to these shenanigans. I mean, I get it. You want to look out for people, but here's the thing about looking out for people. The cause, everyone has to know that they're not bigger than the cause, right? So if you're going to be loyal to them and looking out for them, they also have to look out for you. And the way they represented themselves in that scene, I just did not feel they were looking out for her. So I didn't think that scene was cute at all. I was like appalled because like I said, I have one employee. And if she were to act like that, I'd be like, next. we done. She's not going to embarrass me. It reflects bad on me as a businesswoman. Anywho. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I do have the ladies alphabetized. So who do we have next? Our resident mad woman, K. Michelle. It's crazy, but K. Michelle is turning out to be more of a villain to me in this season, but I'm not 100% against her. It's funny because, like I said, when I did my first recap of the season, I thought I was going to gravitate more towards like certain women, and K. Michelle was definitely on that list. But as the episodes have progressed and more things have been peeled back, I'm kind of stepping away like, all right, let me keep a good eye on Kay because I'm with her on some of the things she's saying, but then there's like these other parts where I'm like, girl, I'm not feeling that. Like, that makes no fucking sense to me. Like, what are you trying to say? So, anywho, what she had going on this episode, I'm noticing that she always likes to critique women's accomplishments, specifically Drew, because she and Drew have the beef. I could take Kay's critique if she were a bigger star than what she perceives herself to be. Now, I'm with the whole be delusional, big yourself up, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in yourself. But don't be so arrogant to the point where you're looking at yourself as if you are bigger than the women that you share space with. Because every time she critiques Drew or says anything about accomplishments, the only thing that I can think of, because now it's starting to get annoying, is, weren't you the same woman that DM'd Andy Cohen to get on the show? Weren't you the same woman that married that man? Because more stuff has come out about their marriage where I'm like, oh, hell no, Kay. But anywho, you married him just so that you could say you're a housewife. It's just, Kay is, I'm like, oh, Kay. This all better make sense towards the end of the season, because you ain't looking too good, girl. You ain't. I can't even lie. I like you. I support you transitioning from VH1 to Bravo. But I'm starting to see the cracks. Anywho, so the accomplishments, I said that. Also, I feel like she's threatened by Porsha's position. I feel like she sees Porsha as the big fish on Atlanta, and she is actually trying to challenge her so that Kay could be ushered in as a big fish. If it were natural beef and if it didn't feel so one-sided, because on one hand, I'm like, okay, I understand what you're saying, Kay, but on the other hand, I don't know if Porsha has just been playing this game for so long that she's not looking so, like, she's looking more innocent than what it seems, or if Kay is threatened and sees Porsha as, okay, if I target her and take her down, then I'm in turn going to end up being in her seat. No, that's not how it works. What's meant for you is meant for you, girl. So if that's your strategy to go after Porsha so that you could step into her shoes, that's not looking good either, because that's what it's starting to look like. It's like you're manufacturing this drama between you and her, or you're amplifying drama, whatever it is. And it's coming off a little bit one-sided, because Porsha's over there looking unbothered, comfortable in her spot, the spot that you're trying to come after. So I don't know. I'm going to keep my good eye on Kay. But yeah, she's talking about accomplishments. She's targeting Porsha. Don't like that. And then, the beef with Drew. Now, that one, even though I don't like how she critiques the accomplishments, there's only one thing that I could possibly agree with her on in terms of Drew. Now, given Drew's track record, with her, the shit she did with LaToya, that whole plot, because I did watch that season, her first season on there, it was the COVID season when they went to South Carolina for Cynthia's bachelorette party. But you saw the sneakiness there. And like I said, she put Ralph on blast, even though I don't like Ralph, but the way she put Ralph on blast, that was totally sneaky and calculated. Last season, I heard she tried to pull some shit off with Porsha and Dennis at the beginning of the season. So it checks that Drew can potentially be sneaky and design a plot and be, like playing dumb, like she doesn't know what's going on. However, the whole Black situation, I don't really buy into that too much, because now, Kay, you're starting to look a little crazy when it comes to Black, because Black ain't really shit. Like, Black, to be arguing over that, like, have him be a part of your drama when there's been things that have come out about him where I'd be like, oh, I wouldn't even want to be associated with him in conversation. So, like, that is not looking good, Kay. So, but like I said, the only thing I could believe is the plot part, the way Drew is sneaky, not the subject matters at hand, but Drew's ways. That is the only thing I will agree with Kay on. But the other shit, the toes, the oysters, all that, it's like, girl, stop. Next. All right, Kelly. She didn't really have a lot going on this episode, other than the fallout from what happened last week. At the top of the episode, they were finishing off that scene, and Kelly going off. She's not my cup of tea, but I do sympathize with Kelly, because Kelly's going through a lot. Like, that's real. When you got a lot of pressure on you, you act out. I've been there. Last year, 2025, like, I was functioning, but I was, if I didn't have my child and I didn't have hope in my life, I would have been like, fuck it all. Sold all my shit and probably moved to another country. That's how bad it got for me, because I was just like over it. So I understand the pressure that Kelly feels and why she's acting out like that. But the whole accusation of Porsha saying she slept with a pastor, I believe it was. See, I'm late, but I know what's been going on. They researched the different pastors, trying to figure out who it was that she slept with. I don't know. I won't say I don't believe that, but I don't 100% buy it because of who it came from. It came from Porsha, and we know Porsha can lie. She can. And so, you know, my heart goes out to Kelly. But anywho, that was one of her big things. And then we found out she doesn't wear a bra. Now, as a big boob girl myself, how the hell you pull that off? Girl, you can't have... My natural breasts, they're heavy. I have heavy breasts, so I have to wear a bra. Now, there are women that have big breasts and their breasts are more fluffy. They're not as heavy, so maybe that's Kelly's situation. But as a big boob girl myself, I'm like, how are you pulling that off? You can't, you don't wear a bra. Good for you. So anywho, let me see what else she got. Oh, she's connecting with Phaedra. She went over to Phaedra's house to apologize for going off the way that she did at her house the day before, or the couple of days before. And she was just saying how she didn't like how Porsha was putting her finger in her face. When I played it back, I did see that. Porsha did violate her space first, point her finger in her face. So then Kelly in turn had the wine glass in her face, pointing. So, you know, I understand. And like I said, Kelly's on edge, so she's liable to pop on anybody. And, I put hard to read her energy with Porsha. The reason I put this is it's hard for me to tell if Kelly has a real issue with Porsha or she feels rejected by Porsha in some way. So that's why she's acting out. I can't tell if she wants to be Porsha's friend or if she really has a genuine like beef with Porsha, because she's the same woman that came on last season, first episode, asking Porsha about why she took, what was his name? Simon from Fallon. So it was like, okay, you're initiating beef with her. Rightfully so, because we kind of all did want to know like what happened. And, you know, Porsha came back like nothing happened, like we didn't notice. So, you know, you could appreciate Kelly's approach, but nonetheless, Kelly, you started with Porsha. So there's that. And then, I don't know. What do y'all think about that? I'm like, I can't tell if Kelly feels slighted by Porsha in some way, or does she really have a beef with her? I don't know. And then, like I said, they're alphabetized. Phaedra, unfortunately, didn't really have much for her in this episode other than her hosting the catastrophic sound bath event at her house. Well, the event wasn't catastrophic. The dinner was. But other than her finishing that off and meeting with Kelly, Phaedra didn't really do much this episode. Pinky. So we had Pinky with her baby Diala. She is so cute and looks so much like her dad. And she had a photo shoot where Angela joined her with her daughter. And so I like to see that because they got real nasty with each other in Dallas, but they are being grown women and reconciling and trying to build their friendship, you know, for the better of the show. That's what we like to see. Conflict resolution. And I get it. Not everyone can smooth out conflict because the mindsets aren't there, but that's what I like to see with Pinky and Angela. The mindsets, they're very grown woman. Y'all know how I feel about grown girl versus grown woman. So you wouldn't even know like that they had a beef, but maybe that's what caused them to respect each other, is because they went there with each other. That's why I like Pinky. Pinky, out of the new girls this season, like, don't get rid of her. She's like my favorite because she's so direct. She's so real. I appreciate Pinky. I really do. So they're at the photo shoot with her daughter. Cynthia shows up. Cynthia, I guess, is, you know, because she's the resident model. She's giving tips, but she says, hey, Diala's got her own personality, so there wasn't much she had to do. But she sits Angela and Pinky down to talk to them about what happened after she left, because she left Phaedra's event early. They tell her what happened. She's like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that. And she tasks both of them with trying to get everyone together, like bridge the fracture between the two groups. I thought it was funny when, and again, this is what I like about Pinky. Pinky was very direct with Angela. She said, "You're my friend now, so I feel like I could tell you this, but you do instigate." And she's right, because we like Angela, we do. But the way Angela moves the narrative and moves around within the group to push narratives, that could rub somebody the wrong way. Now we're watching, well, I can't say we, but for me, when I watch as a content creator reviewer, someone that's been watching for a long time, and I now have like a pair of fourth wall eyes. So I understand what Angela is doing, but I also appreciate being real in the moment. Pinky calling Angela out, because she's right. Angela does kind of like messily move the narrative about, and you're going to create some issues and some enemies, you know, if you don't do it a certain way. So, but you know, one thing I will say is when you bring it to Angela's attention, you got to come correct, though. That's what I have noticed. She's accountable for how she moves. Angela, she's not going to BS you and, you know, try to downplay what you're saying like Miss Shamea. So that is what helps redeem her. All right, let me see. Oh, okay, yep, finished with Pinky. So now we're down to Porsha, because again, we're alphabetized. Other than her situation with Kelly, you know, how it ended, she didn't really have a lot going on this episode. She did have a separate scene with Pinky before the scene with her, Cynthia, Pinky, and I think it was, hold on. There's a scene that I'm going to talk about later, but there's a scene where I think it's Porsha, Pinky, Cynthia, and K. Michelle. There we go. K. Michelle. So, yeah, Porsha didn't really have much other than that dinner scene and the scene that she has separate with Pinky. But in that scene, I guess they were talking about everything that happened at Phaedra's house. And, you know, Pinky's very strong and very direct. So I guess there was like a back and forth between her and Porsha. And, you know, she was kind of strong-arming Porsha, and Porsha said she couldn't get a word in edgewise. Yeah, because Pinky ain't with it. You're not gonna talk her in circles and make her see something that she's not seeing. Like, she sees what she sees. So let me see. Suggestion. Yep. Okay. Okay, yeah. So this is where in that scene she's suggesting that they sit down and talk, because Porsha is trying to figure out where Kay is coming from. Why does she not trust Porsha so much, Kay? And she did say something that I thought was very interesting. She said that she doesn't see the motive in why Drew would want to plot against her, but she doesn't doubt that Drew is capable of that. So I was like, So are you trying to give us clues, Porsha, or not? What are you doing? All right, so Shamea. So she spoke about her issues with Angela. She had a scene with her family earlier in the episode where she's talking about that. I will say this. I do understand where Shamea could be coming from, in that she feels like the group is trying to pin all of the dissension within the group on her through Kay or whatever. I think that's a lot to put on one person. However, because Shamea is very passive aggressive, and what she did with Porsha last year, talking about their issues with everyone but Porsha, and Angela's experience with her last season, that's why her guard is up with Shamea. She's like, you kind of did this with us last season. How do we know, or how do we not know, that you didn't do this with Kay this season? Because you're capable of it. So, I don't know. Like I said, I get Shamea, but it's like, hey, Shamea, you don't have a good track record. Speaking of track record, so Shamea and Angela. Oh, before we get to that scene. In the scene with Shamea's family, she was talking very honestly about, you know, her surrogacy journey, and the embryo transformation's not working, and just like the potential for something to go wrong, considering, you know, God bless Miss Shiloh, but the situation with her second child, you know, Shamia's just, she's just like, she's worried. She's like, I know he and I had a conversation about having a big family before, but it's like they say, you make a plan and God will laugh, right? If it doesn't work, y'all have to talk as a couple about it and be okay with it, because I know he wants his son, but he waited till he was in his late 50s to have children. You can't be picky like that. And then you didn't pick, Shamia is beautiful, but if you were really, really like intentional about having children, you probably would have went younger. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, you have to look at everything and not put all of that pressure on your marriage, because again, you're looking at the glass half empty. It's not, it's half full. You have a family. So, I mean, be content with that. So I feel for Shamia, because it seems like Shamia has a lot of pressure to fulfill that for Gerald, giving him his son. She keeps saying that. I want to give him his son. I want to give him his son. Do you really want to do that? You've seen what's happened and you see the pressure. So I just hope that works out for them. You know, my heart goes out to Shamia, because she may be annoying, but that motherhood journey, that's real. That's real. And the marriage and all of that, like I sympathize with it. Now, the end, the dinner, or would they just get drinks? I don't even think they got food. So Angela and Shamia, they meet at the end of the episode. Shamia wants to bring to Angela's attention that she does not like how Angela, while they were in Dallas, keeps trying to make it seem like Shamia is the one that is feeding Kay information. So like I said before, Angela has a history with Shamia, so I can't knock Angela for feeling that way. But then they started getting ugly. So it got accusatory with Angela saying Shamia continues to work for the Hawks and the Falcons because she's sleeping around with the players. What was it? Shamia says Angela's husband's always out, like they run into each other in the streets and all of that. And I'm just like, oh God, we going there. This is what I will say about Angela. Not like you, Angela, I do. But you've come with some heavy accusations this season. So at first you said Pinky and her husband have a wife in the basement. And now you're saying Shamia sleeps around on her husband. And that's how she's got her jobs with the Hawks and the Falcons. Very heavy. And at this point, I'm going to need to see some receipts. I'm going to need to see some proof, because you can't keep bringing stuff like this to our attention and then we don't have proof. So this reunion, or later in the season, we got to have something. We got to have something. I'm getting text messages because I'm recording on my phone. Sorry. So anywho, so they were going back and forth. It got ugly. Shamia ended up walking out. You know, I don't even want to comment on the body insults that she was making towards Angela, because that's not important. That's stupid. It's very juvenile. But yeah, those two were going back and forth, and Shamia was over and she left. And Angela, she was sitting there like, you know, hey, did we even order our food? And that's where episode 9 ended. So now we can get into episode 10. Let me see. How did it start? Oh shit, I don't even remember how I started. So we'll just go with the women because I have it alphabetized too. So let's start with Angela. What did I put? Oh, she talks about Kay standing within the group. And she senses that Shamia is the one that her discernment is telling her that Shamia is the one that is telling Kay all of this stuff about like what's potentially going on. Side note, I wanted to say this because it crossed my mind when I was just thinking about the episode. I think it's production. When they say they're getting calls, I think this is production that is doing this. I don't think it's anyone really on the cast. I really do think that when it comes to at least Atlanta, production plays a big role in manipulating the drama with the women. It happened in season 9. Who's to say it didn't happen this time? Because these calls that these people get, it's like, well, where are they coming from? Yeah, I know they've got relationships with blogs and stuff, but it's like, where are they coming from? My senses are telling me it's producers, but who knows, right? So anywho, so they were all at Cynthia's house because there was a meetup there. Angela is just giving them her input. And then she, while she was telling them there, so it was at Cynthia's house. It was Portia, Cynthia, Phaedra came later, Drew, and then Angela. So they're all there chilling. And as they were talking about that, Portia got up and walked away because she didn't want to be a part of the conversation. Didn't know how I felt about that. I was like, you either know something, you know it to be true, Portia, or you just don't want to be a part of it because you still have love for Shamea and you don't want to be around when people are bad talking her. Very smart. I like it. But I was also looking like, well, why are you getting up, Portia? All right. So while Drew was at this event, or at Cynthia's house, she was talking about how over her leftovers. What? I'm getting notifications, y'all. Sorry. All right, hold on. Let me just go back to Drew because it's, like I said, I didn't have an opening scene to kind of like lead me in. So I'm literally going to go bullet by bullet with the ladies. So with Drew. So Pinky held an audition for a show she's creating called Edgewood. And it's going to be based off of her life as a restaurateur here in Atlanta. Her restaurant is actually on a street called Edgewood. And I believe I think that neighborhood is called Edgewood. I'm not sure, but that's what it's going to be based off of. And she's going to have Naturi Naughton playing her, Miss Naturi Naughton, who played Lil' Kim in the Notorious movie. And then she was also a part of 3LW, and she played Tasha on Power. So Naturi ain't nothing to sneeze at. She's an actual actress. So if it's good enough for her, this is where Drew had me. So she shows up to the audition, doing that playing dumb thing that is frustrating people, right? We know Drew does it. She's like, oh, I'm not here to audition. I'm here to support you. Pinky's like, your manager, Keon, who, by the way, you did big up in the last episode, Drew. You said Keon's very professional, right? So then why would Pinky say that Keon said you would audition? So what you trying to say? Keon dropped the ball? Because I don't think Pinky would make that up. But anywho, so that put everyone off that Drew showed up to the event, I guess to just stunt and like tell Pinky, look, I know you thought I was going to audition, but there needs to be proper channels taken in order for me to audition, and you didn't do that. So I'm not here to audition. I'm here to support you. Didn't really like that. I mean, shit, even Shamea showed up to audition, and Shamea was cool with Drew. She's like, you want to read lines with me? We can. And Drew, you know, her IDMB or IMDb, whatever it is just too robust for her to audition for a little Pinky Cole production without proper channels. I was like, Drew, you be doing it to yourself. So Drew is also in this episode going to be singing at the Rich Homie Quan event that they had here in Atlanta. I saw the background. I think they had it in Piedmont Park, but I'm not sure. I say Piedmont Park because I saw the Bank of America building in the backdrop, and the largest park in this area is Piedmont Park. So I was like, okay, it looks like it was a pretty large park. But anywho, so she sung there. Even with that, like, she was trying to come off like she was like this big thing. And I respect you, Drew, because you have been working. But it's like, I guess, big yourself up. But don't be so like, like so stuck on yourself that you're saying, I'm here to sing the national anthem. I'm doing this, you know, like they're all coming for her, when it's like, no, there's actually an event going on to honor someone that died. So even though you're singing, when Kay said she actually knows the family, so she's not gonna come for you, she's coming to honor the family. It's like, yes, let's get a little humility about us, okay? We're not singing at the Super Bowl. We singing at an event in Piedmont Park. So like, let's calm it down. It was so funny when Pinky walked in. She was like, oh, is that Beyonce over there? I mean, hey, that's what they're gonna run with for the rest of the season. Drew, you brought it on yourself, thinking you bigger than the program. I mean, again, have confidence in yourself, but also know thyself and know where thyself stands. Okay. All right. So let me see. Got left, rightfully so. Condescending, playing games. Okay, I'll go back to that. This is towards the end. So let's get to Miss K. Michelle. So in this episode, she had a conversation with her son Chase. There was a scene with them. Chase is in grad school, so shout out to UK. You did that. Her son's doing well. She told him he is a high value man. Don't be bringing home no gutter snipes. I agree. So Shamea had a birthday party for her husband this episode. And because I have, the lady, it's like a character situation, I'm going to talk a little bit about that scene, and let me see if I can pull everyone else in so that way we can wrap the scene up. So Kay mentioned in the scene when they are at the party, because Kelly got emotional and made a toast to Shamea's husband, Gerald, and she was also drunk and said that Shamea's butt does not feel fake. It's very soft and juicy, and she felt it. Kay then said, I don't know what's going on between Shamea, Kelly, and Shamea's husband, but then she awkwardly says, me and my husband want to be a part of it. I want to join. But anywho, what she was saying, the way, like, polyamory it runs rampant here in Atlanta. So Kay is introducing it weird to us, but what she's doing, she's not wrong. It happens here. I've got stories. My friends got stories. Like, that's just how it is here. People do swap couples. They do couple swapping. So, let me see. Okay, so let's go back to K. Michelle. So there's a scene also with Kay where she invites Phaedra over to her house to fish. Side note, they did an aerial view of Kay's house, and while her house is small, it's very nice. It's probably not even small, but in comparison to the surrounding land she's got, that's that caught my attention. I was like, damn, she got a lot of land. She got a lake in the back. I was like, that's pretty cool. I can see why she would be tranquil and she wants all that space. It's nice. But anywho, so they go fishing. The bait that she had was Kool-Aid, seasoned garlic powder hot dogs. She said a white bearded countryman showed her that. And I was like, no. Why would a fish even be drawn to that? Like, I wouldn't want to drink that as a fish. No. So Phaedra shows up. They're fishing. They're talking. Phaedra asks her, they're just talking about her marriage or whatever. And then Phaedra was telling her that she didn't have a good experience as a newlywed, so she suggested to Kay, which I thought was a good tip, to make out a vision board for what she wants her relationship to look like. And then Kay was saying, how she didn't really feel like they were newlyweds because they've known each other for a long time. And, she was talking about how she wants to give him a child because he doesn't have a child. And then she's tried IVF and it made her crazy. And, they were just shooting the breeze on that. So that was a pretty good scene. I liked it. I like to see them bond because it wasn't like a fun scene, but it was like a real scene. It was grounded in things that they actually deal with as women as opposed to like drama, and they're two people you wouldn't really see hanging so much together because they are a part of two divided groups. But I think on a good day, Phaedra can lean more towards neutral, as can Kay when she's not like so triggered by what the women are doing. So I can see why they would come together. Even Kay said that they get along. So I was like, all right, I like to see it. So that's why I like that scene. It was a good scene. It wasn't all drama. It was just them connecting. Now, Kelly, she didn't really have a lot going on this episode other than getting her... Was she getting her teeth done this episode or last episode? Oh, shoot. Let me see. Anyway, she got her teeth done in between these two episodes. Jarvis paid for them, her boyfriend. He had actually sent her flowers to the dentist. Shamea picked her up. Those two get on my nerves. Yeah, I think it was last episode, so my apologies, y'all. Those two get on my nerves with the matching outfits, though. I was like, can y'all be even more corny with this whole trying to be frickin' frack 2.0? Like, can it be more obvious that you're not trying so hard? But anyway, back to this episode. So Kelly was very drunk, at Shamia's husband's birthday party, and that's when she made the comment about Shamia's butt and gave the toast to Gerald. And yeah, that's about it. So Phaedra, the scene now, we're going back to Cynthia's house. Phaedra looked really good when she walked in with that green outfit on and that blonde wig. Her body was nice. I was like, okay, Phaedra, I see you've been putting in work. She looks good to me. And then she said when she came in, oh my God, if Drew was here before me and she's on time, I must be super late. So I thought that was funny. And then, yeah, I talked about that. She gave K. Michelle tips on the vision board and said that she didn't have a good experience. So Pinky. So this is where Pinky, let me see. Oh yeah, I talked about that. The whole holding the auditions for her show Edgewood. She spoke about her career prior into going into the restaurant business. So she's an entrepreneur. You know, she said entrepreneurship is not linear. I totally agree with that. Get your money how you get it. But before she became an entrepreneur in the restaurant business, she was actually a casting director. Did she say casting director and producer? So a casting director for Ayala Fix My Life, I believe she said, and then a producer for the Maury Povich show. I said, oh, that's not like a little career. You actually were doing big things. I would have never even thought that about her. So shout out to you, Pinky. It's like layers. Peel back the layers. You know, I like you. The more I learn about you, the more I like you. So she was holding her auditions and she didn't appreciate how Drew showed up. And I totally understand her on that because Drew, what? You're not bigger than the program, girl. All right, so Portia. I laughed because when she went to Cynthia's house, when she showed up, she had a Wingstop bag. And I was like, that's my kind of girl. One thing Portia gonna do, bad body or not, that girl gonna eat. And I love that because that is so real. She is not too cute to enjoy her food, and I am here for that. So she left the room when they started talking about the whole situation with Shamia and Angela and how Shamia may potentially sleep around with Falcon and Hawks players. She also met with Miss Giselle from Potomac. She met her at a bar here called Midtown Social. It's not too far from my house. And they were just talking about, you know, what Portia's got going on with the other ladies. They took shots. Giselle took that shot straight back to the head. That's my kind of girl. You know, side note, I'm going to talk a little bit about Giselle. I liked her in this scene because she was away from the ladies doing her thing, because on Potomac, like, Giselle gets on my fucking nerves. Like, I can't stand her. But seeing her in this scene, I was like, okay, I like her. She pushing more story along and, you know, in the scene than Portia is. And Giselle is a very pretty lady. Like, she's gorgeous. I don't know. She just never did it for me. Like, I think it's her voice and her mannerisms. They don't go well with her looks for me. That may not make sense to y'all. I don't know. It's just, Giselle she fine as hell, but it's like she just doesn't do it for me. I don't know. Anyway. So, yeah, that was it. I said she pushing the story along regarding Shamia. Then, before we get to Shamia, let's touch on Cynthia. Cynthia is a friend of, even though she's operating like a full housewife. Only thing she really has standing out is, of course, her having all of the women over at her house earlier in the episode. But she showed us her boyfriend. So her boyfriend made a cameo on the episode, and he's actually cute. As I get older, I am not so much focused on, like, you know, if someone looks right together, because I've heard people say, I couldn't see Cynthia with him, but I actually could. Given Cynthia talking about her past as a model and like how she's dated, Cynthia doesn't have like a specific type. I mean, if I did have to pick a type, well, I can't even say that. I was going to say chocolate, because no, Mike wasn't dark skinned. So I can see Cynthia dating LaPrince because he's tall like her. He's young. So yeah, Cynthia probably getting that back blown out, girl. I'm with you. Shit, find me a little young whippersnapper, break my back. Anyway, so that was the only thing she had, was holding the event at her house when they were talking about what happened over at Phaedra's house. And then introducing us to her long distance boyfriend LaPrince and making his debut on camera, and her input at Shamia's party, because everybody got a last minute invite. Shamia says that she did that so that people wouldn't talk about the party and her husband wouldn't find out. I don't a bit more believe that. I think that Shamia was not going to invite the other ladies, and either production urged her to have the party, or maybe she was like, well, if I get them to pay for the party, then I'm gonna have to invite some of these ladies. But either way, her whole like sneaky strategy, her invitation strategy, I wasn't buying it when she said that she, did that the way that she did, because Portia said at Cynthia's house that Shamia had actually reached out to Dennis last week to invite him to the party. And I don't even remember seeing him there, do y'all? So, Shamia, you're doing things, girl, that just make you look more suspicious than you are. So anywho, let's get to her, Miss Shamia. I spoke about the last minute invite to Gerald's party. She invited Dennis. I said that 1 week prior. Party was actually nice. I liked it. I didn't know that her husband was from Kenya. For some reason, I don't know why I thought I heard Ghana, but I'm wrong. He's from Kenya. He's a nice looking man to be 63. I'll give him that. He had a brother there, and I don't know how old that brother is, but I was like, if that brother's younger than you, you look good, Gerald, because Gerald does not look 63. Gerald looks like he's probably in his mid to late 40s. That black is not cracking. So yeah, I was like, okay, Gerald, you look good. She did good at the audition. She went to Pinky's audition and didn't have any qualms about getting out there and auditioning. They were impressed with her. Pinky liked how Shamia didn't come off as bigger than a program like Drew. And then we get to the end of the episode. So at the end of the episode, this is shortly after Drew performed at the Rich Homie Quan event. It was Shamia, K. Michelle, and Drew. They went to this restaurant. I forgot the name of it, but it's another restaurant here in Midtown. And she invited Drew to go. Now, of the three, I could be wrong, but I was not getting from Shamia that Shamia was trying to be shady and malicious. I really didn't. I don't think that the intention was for Kay and Shamia to gang up on Drew. I think Shamia was just being Shamia, because that's just how Shamia is. Shamia's energy is very cheerleaderish, because she was a cheerleader. So she was just trying to keep the energy high and like talk about stuff openly. Drew was probably feeling out of place, and her defenses went up, rightfully so, because she's probably feeling like there's 2 against 1. But it was actually Kay in this scene that was instigating what was going on between her and Drew, and then it ultimately erupted because Kay walked off. So Drew shows up to the restaurant, meets them there. They're already eating and drinking. Drew, Kay didn't go to see Drew, but she showed up later at the event. And Drew's like, I'm so glad you came again, making it seem like it's about her performing. No, it's about celebrating this young man's life. So Kay did kindly not kindly, but Kay reminded her that, like, I didn't go for you. I went for the family. And I get that, because we ain't coming to see you perform. We're coming together to celebrate this man. And then Drew's like, now she's going to go on the defense. I forget what was it said. Oh, Drew was like, Kay said when Drew was like, I'm surprised you came. And Kay brought it back up when Drew told Kay she didn't belong. She's like, I don't go places where I don't belong. And then here's Drew playing stupid. Like, you know what the fuck she's talking about, Drew. Like, stop. She is one of those people that will play with you and gaslight you and try to be condescending. And, some people can do that dance, but Kay doesn't do that dance well. So that's the energy I was picking up. Although Kay was kind of standoffish and nasty, Drew was subliminally poking her. You have to read in between their dynamic. Drew knew what she was doing. She was trying to burrow and get up under Kay's skin after a while. So then when she said that to Drew, Kay saying she doesn't show up to places where she doesn't belong, Drew's like, well, what do you mean? Playing stupid. And she's like, well, I just don't understand. I have to complete sentences and, you know, syllables and all of that. Basically insulting Kay's vernacular and grammar or lack thereof. Kay in the confessional says, who the hell are you? I am Miss, I forgot what school she said she went to, but I'm Miss whatever. And I was going to go, I got accepted into 3 law schools. Like, I'm educated. So who are you? I don't have to prove shit to you. And I mean, she's right. However, when you're fighting, because I've done this before, I've been the type of bitch so petty in my past. Like, if I was arguing with someone and they send me like a text message and there's no like punctuation or they misspelled something, because I'm in my bitch mode, I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm so distracted, I didn't understand what you were saying. So I'm like, I see what you're doing, Drew, and Kay is just, she's not here for it. So they're going back and forth at the table. Kay's like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. She picks up her purse. Shamia's like, leave your purse here because I know you gonna leave. She leaves the purse, and she was right because Kay did leave. She ended up going in the car. So then now at the table you have Drew and Shamia, and this is where I was like, I didn't see Shamia trying to antagonize Drew. I really didn't. That's not the energy I was getting. Honestly, the energy I was getting from Shamia was she was just trying to, I guess, bridge the gap of communication between Kay and Drew, enjoy her meal, be her bubbly self like she always is, and then Drew feeling like Shamia is not holding Kay accountable, started getting frustrated with Shamia. And then she called her a lapdog, and then she got nasty with her. And then now Shamia's on the defense, and she doesn't want to deal with it anymore. So she got up and left. And then as they were leaving, her and K. Michelle, in the vehicle, they were playing the Star Spangled Banner. Sorry, the song that Drew sung, National Anthem or whatever. And they're singing, and I don't know if they were trying to like just be funny and they were drunk or they were making fun of Drew, but Drew was unbothered. She's just sitting there at the table listening to them like, are they fucking serious? It's just that people are so fake. And they drove off, and that was the end of that episode. And yeah, that was episode 9 and 10, y'all. Episodes 9 and 10. Like I said, good episodes. I have just been very busy with my life, so I didn't have time to recap. So I was like, hey, let me just try to get caught up. I'll put these 2 together. I like this season. I really do. I like it. It's not boring, just enough drama. Even the personalities where I don't understand or agree with how they are, they're manageable. You know, they're still palatable. Unlike how on Potomac, y'all know how it gets. It's like, what the hell? It gets real toxic. Here it's just, they're just messy. They're just messy women, and hopefully they can sort it out later. But yeah, it's a good season so far. I have no complaints. I just gotta be better with my time management and getting these recaps out. But yeah, I'm going to end it here so I can get some rest and start my day. I hope you all enjoyed the recap. And like I said, I'm going to try to get episode 11 out this week so that way I can be caught up and get back on my regular schedule. But thanks again for coming to my channel and showing me support. It's your girl D Green 2.0. Peace and blessings to you all, and I will talk to you next week or tomorrow. Bye, y'all.